before I hit the road full time, I had a lot of expectations for what my life was going to be like. And for better or for worse, some of them were just totally wrong. And so today, I'm going to tell you guys what my not so great expectations were about my full-time life, and I'm going to tell you the feedback that I got from other viewers about what was true for their full-time life. Hey guys, it's Robin with Creativity RV. Recently, one of my friends shared with me this great quote. Expectations are premeditated resentments. And I thought that is so important, and it's so true. And recently, I got a comment on one of my Sunday view cues from the first person ever that told me that her full-time life was not what she expected it was going to be, and she wondered when it was going to get better. And so I addressed that then, but since then I've been giving a lot of thought to what we expect before we go on the road, and a lot of it is true and a lot of it is accurate because, you know, we watch YouTube videos and we do our research, but some of it is not. And if you're like me, you did not have any example of someone that you actually knew that lived on the road. There are people that grew up doing this, or they had friends that did it and that's why they did it. But for most of us, we just can imagine what is going to be true and not true for us when we get on the road. And sometimes, you know, expectations can be wrong. But I put out a call on Facebook. I got feedback from friends and people that I've interviewed to get a really well-rounded idea for you guys on the most common expectations that people had that they found out weren't true. So I'll start with my own. The first one for me is that I thought I would always be boondocking, and I budgeted to always be boondocking, and I got feedback from a lot of other people, by the way, that this was a top one for them also. I prefer to boondock. I still prefer to boondock. I don't like to be, you know, parked next to a bunch of other people on concrete. I do love it, but there are times when I needed to adjust a little bit. I found out that I love national forest campgrounds, you know, which can be 10, 15, 18, 20 bucks a night. I didn't expect that, but when I need a place to go that I know is going to be there and it's on my route and I don't have to search, I have found that I really love those campgrounds. And, you know, every once in a while, like now in winter, I do need a hookup. I didn't expect that. So you might go out thinking that your style is going to be one thing, but it actually ends up being different than what you thought it was. The second big one for me is that I planned to be on the road for 4 years before I actually did it. I was single when I first started planning, and I thought, oh God, there's no way I'm going to be in a relationship because nobody's going to understand that this is what I'm doing. And then once I go out on the road, if I did have a relationship, long distance never works, and that no one's going to want to date me anyway because they're not going to understand this weird thing that I'm doing. Well, as you might know if you already watch my channel, I met somebody before I hit the road and named Doug, and he's wonderful and he's a doll. And I found that he was actually okay with my plan to go on the road. He was really supportive. And, you know, it's been almost 4 years that we've been together, and he is still totally supportive. He might or might not go on the road with me someday. That is his individual choice. But I expected that there wouldn't be somebody awesome enough out there that would understand what I was doing and support me in what I was doing, and that it wouldn't work long distance, and it has. It's been just fine. The third thing that I found is that you can't always believe the reviews on freecampsites.net. I thought that, you know, it's a community of people helping each other, and it is. And it may have been right for them when they wrote the review, but I can't tell you how many times I expected to go to a spot because somebody else said the road was okay and there was a cell signal. And then when I got there, the road was terrible. I had no business going down that road, and there was no cell signal. So just know, sometimes you have to have a backup because you can't always believe what you read in the reviews. The fourth thing for me is that I was really worried about the danger that I would find on the road. And this is a concern. Look, people, I am not saying that it's not a concern, but as a solo female traveler, you know, my friends and family and boyfriend were all concerned about my safety. And so I took a lot of time thinking about that and preparing, and I still do. And one of these days I'm going to do a safety video for you guys. But what I have found is that, at least for me so far, if I go to a spot that seems dangerous, I leave. So that has a lot to do with it. If I get a bad vibe, or, there's graffiti or needles around, or, a lot of bullets or broken glass, I tend to leave. Other than that, I have found really not a lot of danger on the road. I had overblown in my mind how bad that was going to be, or what perils I would be in. And for the most part, I would say 95% of all the places I've been have felt and were in the end very safe. Okay, number 5 is that I thought that I would work less. I thought that I'd always be in a chair reading a book, maybe doing some paintings and really relaxing. And the problem is that I brought this girl named Robin with me to the woods. And I've said to you guys before, wherever you go, there you are. And I work more now than I ever have. But the difference is that I love everything I'm doing. I still work a lot. That's something that I'm working on for next year, to actually relax a little bit more. I've been on the road a little while now, and I have yet to meet that expectation. Okay, number 6 on my list is that I expected to have my long, dark, dyed hair on the road. Like a lot of women, I didn't even know what my natural hair color was since I was 14. I had no idea I was this gray. As soon as I was removed from, the paradigm that I was in, not that it was bad or anything, it was fine. And it's fine if, I still dyed my hair. But what I expected, because it was part of my regular thing, was that I would keep dyeing it and I would keep it long and I would keep blowing it out. I didn't expect that I would just not care once I got on the road. And I like this. I think it's more me. I'm happier. I like seeing, what I really look like. And I didn't expect that at all. Number 7 is that I thought moving day would be no big deal. You think the spot I'm going to is 3 hours away, and so you just put in your slide and you drive your 3 hours and then you're right back in your camp chair relaxing, which we already know is not necessarily true. You find out that moving day is a full day event, at least for me and a lot of people I know. It takes longer to pack up than you think it's going to. It takes longer to get back down the dirt road because some of these roads take a long time to maneuver down. Then you have to get your propane and your groceries and your water and dump your tanks or whatever it is that you have to do, laundry, and then get to your spot, and then set everything up. And even if that all happens by mid-afternoon, you're wiped out. At least I am. And it takes a full day, which I never expected. In my schedule, I didn't know that moving days were going to take up so much of my time, but they do. You guys know number 8 is a big one for me. It's that I thought that if you get a decent rig with a warranty on it, that your repairs are going to be taken care of and everything's going to be really high quality. That is not true. Every rig has problems, and I'll tell you, I have yet to this day to take a rig in for work at a dealership where it wasn't returned to me in worse shape than when I brought it in. That ties into a viewer comment that I got that said she thought she couldn't fix anything, she thought she couldn't do anything, and she found that she could really fix almost anything herself, but she didn't know it until she got out on the road. To tie into that, the next one is that I would never have considered getting a mobile repair guy because, I thought they probably were shady or super, super unaffordable. And I have found that to not be true also. I have hired some reputable mobile guys. Everyone's experience is going to be different. And I just Google mobile guy near me and then I look at the reviews. For the most part, I have found that when I've done that, it's been about $150, $160. Maybe $225 if they actually come out and fix something or there's a part involved, and every time they knew what they were doing and they got the job done. Wasn't expecting that at all. Number 10 is that I thought I would be, solo and not meet anybody on the road, because you think about your normal life and you meet friends at work or friends through friends or out doing something social, and when you imagine life on the road, you could be totally alone and never meet anybody. But I have not found that to be true. I have some of the best friends that I've met on the road, lifelong friends. I'm as close to them as I am to people that I've known 20, 25 years. And I was surprised at how many opportunities there are out there to meet people if you want to. Number 11 for me is that I thought that I would go and want to see everything, which I still want to see a lot of stuff. But my expectation was wrong on that. It's changed for me, and I like to spend more time in one place now, which I wasn't expecting. And so that has kind of changed the calculus on, my camping style and what is right for me. And finally, for me, the 12th thing is that I knew that when you go out in an RV, especially as a boondocker, that you have to really conserve your power, your water, and your trash. I had no idea how much power one thing used, or how much water I was using for another thing, or how much trash I compiled as a person. Even out here, where I'm pretty conservative, in 2 or 3 days. Your power doesn't last as long as you think it's going to, but you can also conserve a lot more than you thought. The same thing goes for the water and the trash. Okay, so now let me tell you some of the things that I got from viewers and people on Facebook and friends about what their expectations were that didn't turn out to be accurate. Okay, I'm going to start with a really interesting one because I got 2 completely opposite comments about the same thing. I had somebody that told me that she thought she couldn't trust anybody on the road, but that people are very friendly and they will help you if you ask for help. I had somebody else tell me that they thought everybody on the road was going to be super trustworthy and helpful because it's like this, hippie, nice community out there, and she found that not to be true. So here's the thing. We're all going to have an expectation for people on the road based on what our life experience is. And in the end, they're just people. I'll tell you, my experience has been that, most people are super nice and super friendly, but you got to read the room. Some people are out there because they want to be alone. Or, I've met people on the road that are pretty paranoid and they don't want anybody around them. There are people everywhere that are looking to rip somebody else off. But for the most part, people are decent, good people on the road, at least in my experience. So just know, if you have a certain expectation going in, you got to realize that people are just going to be people just like they are in real life. I also had a lot of comments from you guys about how your camping style has changed. Same thing, they thought they would boondock, or they thought they would always be in an RV park, and the opposite turned out to be true. I got a lot of comments about trash. People worry about their trash and how much room the trash takes up. And I also got a comment from somebody that is so true, which is that everywhere she goes now, she's looking out for dumpsters. That's true. Because, sometimes you need to dump a little trash somewhere, and some places don't want you to do it, so you got to be looking out for the right place to do that. Here's an interesting one. I have a friend who thought that she would hate doing maintenance on her rig and filling up her propane, and she actually liked it. I mean, I don't like it. I don't mind it, but she ended up actually liking it, so each his own. Here's a good one. I had somebody say that they thought it would be hard to make money on the road, and she found out that that wasn't true. There's a lot of opportunities, and spoiler alert, in a couple of months, you guys, I am bringing out a ginormous resource for that. So anybody that's worried about making money on the road, just bear with me 2 more months. I am hopefully going to help you solve that problem. Another comment that I got a lot is about cell phones and data. A lot of people expect that it's not going to be as hard to find a signal as it really is. If you're going out in remote places, the signal can be really bad for cell phones. And also, I don't think when we're in houses we realize how much data we actually use. Just, if you have apps on your phone updating in the background, you got to learn to turn that stuff off. If you think you're going to depend on Wi-Fi, like in an RV park, sometimes that Wi-Fi is no good, and everybody in there is streaming something. So it can be really, really slow. But you do find that you can find Wi-Fi in places you never expected, like libraries and visitor centers. Here's another good one. I had somebody tell me that they thought their solar would do more than it actually does. Most people I know have a little bit of solar, maybe 100 watts, 200 watts, 400, 480 like I have. My solar is great during the day, but it's true. If it's cloudy for the day or you use a lot of power, it's trickle charging your batteries. It's not really giving your batteries a great charge. You got to know that it's not going to maybe do what you wanted it to do unless you get a whole bunch and a big battery bank. Another comment that I got from people about what they expected that wasn't true is that they didn't know how much wind would affect them if they were in an RV. We're used to going down the road in cars, and the wind hits us and there's a gust, and every once in a while it might be a big gust that's kind of scary. But when you're driving a bigger, flatter rig, especially if it's lighter, you do have to be a little bit more cognizant of the wind. I look at the wind, and a lot of people I know do also, and they choose their travel day around wind. Not something you usually have to think about when you're in a car. The last comment, and one I thought was really great, is that a lady said she thought she could find all the camping that was available out there on all stays. And what she discovered is that there was way more camping than she thought there was. And she made some comments about all the different apps that she uses and all the different ways that she camps now that she didn't even know were out there. So if your expectation is there's not a lot of places to camp, there are. So for better or worse, we all walk into this having a certain set of expectations or fears or hopes, and a lot of them turn out to be true, but a lot of them aren't. And I just thought you guys might want to know from my perspective and some other people that have been on the road for a while, what expectations were great and what expectations were not so great. So if you guys have any comments on this, please do put them down below. And if you have any friends that could use this information, please do share this video. Give it a thumbs up because it helps other people discover this video and this channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. Head over to my blog at creativityrv.com. Subscribe there as well. I hope to see you all out on the road soon, or just doing something that you love. Until then, everybody out there, have happy travels and be free.